Buddhism has evolved into one of the world's major religions, with many schools and branches. But if we go back to the source, Gautama Buddha, who was born as a prince that later became enlightened and known as the Buddha, we find a collection of teachings named the Dhammapada. The Dhammapada contains some profound wisdom for those who seek a tranquil mind. So, after Stoicism and Taoism, a video about Buddhist wisdom for inner peace certainly cannot be missed. Attachment leads to suffering. 1. Attachment leads to suffering. This is one of the basic teachings in Buddhism. We suffer because we attach ourselves to external things, which, in essence, are beyond our control. By doing this, we actually resist the fundamental truth about existence. Change is the only constant. Our youth and looks fade with time. The people we love will disappear. Our success, well, on YouTube, for example, will end one day. The key is to have a deep appreciation for what's happening in the moment, while acknowledging its impermanence and willingness to let it go. I quote the Buddha, "The good renounce attachment for everything. The virtuous do not prattle with a yearning for pleasures. The wise show no elation or depression when touched by happiness or sorrow." 2. Desiring the right things. Desiring the right things. Another basic Buddhist teaching is that deep desire, also known as craving and lust, poisons the mind and makes us restless and even sick. However, this doesn't mean that we should aim to destroy desire completely. Even Buddhist monks desire, which is a deep desire for enlightenment. And you might be interested in Buddhism because you desire relief from pain. So there's nothing wrong with desire in itself. The key is to desire the right things and to arm ourselves against the wrong things that lead us astray. In Buddhism, this means training the mind. I quote the Buddha, "Just as rain breaks through an ill-thatched house, so passion penetrates an undeveloped mind." Just as rain does not break through a well-thatched house, so passion never penetrates a well-developed mind. 3. Pursuing sensual pleasures leads to suffering. Pursuing sensual pleasures leads to suffering. What we shouldn't crave for, according to Buddhism, are sensual pleasures. Sensual pleasures aren't wrong in itself, but one's indulgence in them can become a source of evil. Things like greed, gluttony, and addiction stem from cravings to fulfill sensual pleasures. When the pursuit of sensual pleasures controls our lives, we will become easily seduced by a demon called Mara, who leads us into committing evil and basically keeps us in misery because of the fear, dissatisfaction, and cravings generated by chasing sensuality. It's not uncommon that we degrade, exploit, attack, and even kill not only other human beings, animals, and our environment, but ourselves as well. I quote, "Just as a storm throws down a weak tree, so does Mara overpower the man who lives for the pursuit of pleasures, who is uncontrolled in his senses, immoderate in eating, indolent and dissipated. For from misery grows beauty. From misery grows beauty." Suffering is an inherent part of life, even though Buddhism is directed toward rewards ending that suffering. Discarding the darker sides of life completely is like throwing away the baby with the bathwater. It was deep suffering that led the Buddha to the path of enlightenment, and it's often our suffering that we can use as fertilizer for a better life. In my own experience, the insights we get because of our pain is an opportunity to be more compassionate and also more creative. For example, I wouldn't be able to make these videos if I didn't experience deep suffering in the past. I quote, "Upon a heap of rubbish in the roadside ditch blooms a lotus, fragrant and pleasing." 5. Good company is important. Good company is important. Comparable to the Stoics, the Buddha advises us to hang out with wise and positive people, preferably people that also follow the path to enlightenment. For those that are serious about Buddhism, this means seeking the company of a Buddhist community or even becoming a monk or nun. Now, the last isn't for everyone, of course. The Buddha goes as far as saying that we're better off in solitude than to be in the company of foolish people, or those that have a bad influence on us. And I personally think that's sound advice. I quote, Better it is to live alone. There is no fellowship with a fool. Live alone and do no evil. Be carefree like an elephant in the elephant forest. 6. A trained mind leads to happiness. A trained mind leads to happiness. The cornerstone of Buddhism is the practice of meditation. The goal of meditation is achieving freedom from the mind that has, generally, grown out of control. We are not our thoughts. However, we tend to identify ourselves with our thoughts, no matter how destructive they have become. When we can find relief of overthinking and be absent of any form of intellectual activity, we become present in the moment, unburdened or unencumbered by cravings, and by the past or future. This is where happiness lies. I quote, "He who delights in subduing evil thoughts, who meditates on the impurities, and is ever mindful, it is he who will make an end of craving and rend asunder Mara's fetter." 7. Short-term evil has long-term consequences. Short-term evil has long-term consequences. Many things we do don't bring about pain instantly. Indulging the senses, for example, may give us short-term pleasure without the immediate punishment of pain. Also, lies, deceit, manipulation, and even theft can lead to immediate pleasure or avoidance of pain. But in the long run, the consequences of evil will catch up to us. We may have become addicted, so our lives are dictated by uncontrolled cravings. Or, because of our lies and deceit, we have become untrustworthy, not only for the environment, but also for ourselves. The Buddhists believe in karma, which is the spiritual principle of cause and effect, and also in reincarnation. So, if we don't face the consequences of our evil deeds in this life, it will happen in one of the next lives, which might manifest itself as a bad rebirth. I quote, "It may be well with the evildoer as long as the evil ripens not, but when it does ripen, then the evildoer sees the painful results of his evil deeds." End quote. All in all, according to Buddhism, you reap what you sow. So, to wrap it up, let's summarize the Buddhist wisdom for inner peace, as explained in this video. Attachment leads to suffering. Desiring the right things, pursuing sensual pleasures leads to suffering. From misery grows beauty. Good company is important. A trained mind leads to happiness, and short-term evil has long-term consequences. Please mind that the presented quotes come directly from the Dhammapada and are backed up by my own interpretations and what I've learned by studying Buddhism. There are many Buddhist scriptures to study besides the Dhammapada if you're interested. That's it. If you know more Buddhist wisdom that you want to share, please put it in the comment section. Thank you for watching.